Hello, welcome to this new semester. My name is Ray Jane Calicdandel Campo, and I will be your teacher. You can simply address me as Ma'am RJ as we progress with this semester, but with more formal communication correspondence, please address me as Mrs. Del Campo. I am from the Institute of Arts and Sciences. I work with the GE and the Communication Department. So you can see here on the lower right, my email address and my consultation hours. So the consultation hours might change depending on the schedule given on the semester. So this discussion will focus on class matters and policies before we begin with the technicalities of the course that we are to have this semester. Let's discuss first how are we supposed to relate with one another professionally. I deem that it is vital for us to negotiate how are we supposed to deal, communicate, and relate with one another because we will be together for like 5 months or so. That's why I think it's vital for us to discuss certain class matters and policies. So with the next slide, I have divided our discussion with four sub-parts. First is the communication and relationship in the class. Second, how do we go through with our class submissions? Third, how are we going to do grades and consultations? And lastly, other helpful materials that we need as we go along with the semester. All right, so let's begin. I promise that I will make this short and concise. So first, let's have communication and relationship in the class. First thing that you have to remember is that it is your job as a student to participate in our discussions, whether it's a synchronous or asynchronous discussion. It is your duty, it is your responsibility to participate as much as you can. I know we are still in a pandemic. I know it's hard. We have different situations, but try as much as you can. All right? In addition, I would like to clarify how do you intend to contact the teacher, which is me. So you will see here in the slide, here's a suggested format on how you will go through in contacting your teacher, which is me. And also, I hope you can also apply this whenever you contact your other teachers. So first, begin with a greeting, all right? It's vital, it's human to greet the person that you're communicating with first. So good day, Ma'am RJ, as you can see here in the example. Next, introduce yourself. I am Nicanor Reyes from your GED 111 Purposive Communication, Section 18. It's vital that you identify yourself because do not expect that the recipient of your message will initially remember and identify you. That's why it's vital that you introduce yourself. Next, you have to introduce and tell what course and section you are from. In addition with that, you have to tell your purpose of sending the message. In this light, I would suggest that you'll be straight to the point. So the example here is, I would like to clarify if we will use APA or MLA citation for our formative assessment 1. And then, do not forget call to action. So what is call to action? You have to tell what is it that you are expecting from the recipient of your message. Do you want them to message you back? Do you want them to send you an email? Do you want them to call you? So be clarified and specific here. So here it says your response will be helpful, meaning you are expecting a response from me, which is your teacher. Lastly, you have to provide a proper closing salutation. So you can say here, have a good day, all the best, Nick Reyes, or your favorite student, Nick Reyes. And that's a suggestion on how you should contact your teacher, which is me. And hopefully you can also apply this whenever you contact your other teachers in your other subject. Now, we are still with the first sub-part, which is the communication and relationship. Now, next, let's discuss about our communication platforms. So with FEU, we utilize Teams, MS Teams. We also have Canvas. And of course, we have Outlook Office, which is your mail. Now, I would intend to suggest how we're going to use the various platforms that we have. So with MS Teams, for our class, We will be utilizing them with our synchronous sessions. And if you have class concerns, individual or personal concerns, for example, you have clarifications, you have a question, please feel free to message in MS Teams. And certain announcements will also be forwarded in MS Teams. I would suggest that you message me with MS Teams only, and do not bombard me with, when you send a message in MS Teams, it's already enough. I will be checking it. No need to double send your message in Canvas, in email. Once is enough, which is through MS Teams. All right? And then, if you're going to forward a concern, I would suggest that you deliver your message, ask your question, or relay your concern in a more concise manner. What do we mean by concise? Keep it short but straight to the point, and all the information should be there. It should not be a novel, okay? So I hope you're getting my point here. Next, work submissions and announcements and grade consultation will be in Canvas. And when it comes to concerns relating with your parents and your colleague, or my colleague rather, I usually keep my email with messaging with my co-teachers and your parents if there would be a need for me to communicate with your parents. So, most of our communication would be in MS Teams, and of course, submissions will solely be in Canvas. Unless I allowed you to submit other than Canvas, I will not be accepting submissions that are not in Canvas. Just to be clear, as early as this semester. Okay, so we are still with communication. After discussing the communication platforms that we have, let's now go with the reason on when to update your teacher. Apart from the academic technical discussions that we will have, what are the reasons for you to message me, apart if you have questions or concerns? First, regarding your learning modality. If you intend to change your learning modality, if something happened at home, for example, you have a concern and you feel that you should change your learning modality because the other one will work better for you, please update me. Next, if you're a working student, please update me from time to time, okay? Give me certain, if you have like certain schedule of, conflict of schedule with your work, please let me know. Also, if you are living abroad or living somewhere else in this world, or if you have a transient scenario, you'll be moving from Manila to a certain place in the Philippines and vice versa. And as you know, we are in a pandemic situation. Please let me know so that we can adjust, especially if there are certain assessments or certain preparations needed in our class, so that we will not be hanging and we are not second guessing on what happened to you. And of course, if there are concerns regarding health, and hopefully nothing about death, okay, but if such cases will happen, please update me, okay? And just to give you a heads up, my response time, latest, I'm usually every day I check, except for Saturdays and Sundays. Mondays to Friday, I'm online every afternoon up until 5:30. That's during my consultation hours. Unless I have online classes, I respond as soon as I can. But if I tend to be busy with synchronous classes, give me up to 2 to 5 days to respond to your message in MS Teams. Let's now discuss language in class. Since most of the materials are in English, you may do so. However, in certain cases, if you feel you're more comfortable speaking in our own language, which is Filipino, I wouldn't mind actually. But the idea here is I would want you to focus in honing your knowledge in English and in Filipino. But code switching is discouraged. What do we mean by code switching? Code switching, most of the Filipinos know it as Taglish, or bastardized English, bastardized Filipino. Yung pinaghalo, gaya ng ginagawa ko ngayon. Mag-i-English, tas biglang mag-Filipino. So, code switching is discouraged, especially with formal assessments that we have in our classes. Let's now move forward with online class etiquette. So there are certain suggestions and rules that I would be forwarding whenever we have our online classes in MS Teams. So first, be on the know, okay? Familiarize yourself in Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and Canvas chat application. In cases wherein MS Teams might be down, our plan B will be Zoom. And then make sure to check class schedules and announcements regularly. As I have mentioned earlier, I post announcements in MS Teams and I post regular announcements in Canvas, especially the schedules of our classes. And I usually link the meeting link in Canvas so that it will be easier for you to go to our meeting if you will be checking first Canvas. But basically, MS Teams, if you will check your calendar, everything will be there. Okay, so keep yourself updated with the meetings and the materials that we have in our online classes. Second is you have to be on time. Please, let's not have the Filipino time here. The idea here is prepare 10 minutes before the time of your online synchronous class. If you come in, for example, your class is 9 a.m. If you come in 9 a.m. sharp, that's already, that's Filipino time, okay? You will say, oh, everyone will come in later than 9 a.m. But if everyone thinks the same way, everyone will be coming in late. So the idea here is come in 10 minutes before if you can, or 5 minutes before, prepare 10 minutes before. That would be better. Next, class schedule will be followed in synchronous engagement. So double check our class schedule in your Canvas account in MS Teams. Next, number 3, check your tools. So double check your camera functions and video background for unnecessary online exposure, especially if you know that we will be having synchronous session tomorrow. Please do it the night before. Prepare the night before the synchronous session. Additionally, mute your microphone by default, and if you are experiencing unavoidable background noise, I know, I understand. We are working and studying at home and there are certain unnecessary backgrounds that might happen. So just mute your microphone if possible. And then choose a good study location and position in terms of internet connection, noise, and focus. Up next, let's discuss number 4, which is respect. It's vital that you ask permission before you do screen capture and recording and discussion. Recording the discussion to the teacher. We are following Data Privacy Act of 2012. So, before you, for example, you're making fun of your classmates dahil natuwa ka sa itsura, or you are fond of the discussion, or you recorded it in your own phone, do not do such things without the permission of those people in the recording. Next, wear proper attire, which is presentable and professional looking to avoid distractions, especially if we're going to have on-camera session. I'm not going to prohibit you in wearing certain things. I will not be detailing everything, what you should wear and what you should not wear. I trust you as a young adult to know what is presentable and what is professional looking in our academic discussion, especially in our synchronous sessions. Lastly, respect others' opinion and be careful with your words. We will be having certain discussions in our class, and there are certain possibilities that we will be having disagreement, you with me or you with your other classmate. It's vital that we fall back with this rule, which is respect one another. Alright, second to the last with online class etiquette, we have number 5, which is limit. Limit the use of mobile phones and other gadgets during synchronous online classes. There is a time for our class and there is a time when you can use your gadgets for personal reasons. But if it's time for our synchronous session, please allot that time for your studies. Next, private and other conversations must be limited as much as possible. If you really can't help it, someone in your home is talking to you, hindi talaga maiwasan, you can mute your microphone. mute your camera and then let us know through chat that you will be back, that you have to leave or you're talking to someone, especially if you are participating in a discussion. And lastly, limit food intake to light snacks and hydration fluids only. There are certain cases wherein synchronous classes are scheduled on certain times of the day wherein we're supposed to be eating during that time. As Filipinos, we have this time for breakfast, lunch. We also even have merienda and dinner. So if you feel hungry and you cannot, it's hard to study if you're hungry, you can do so, but make sure you take them on a more discreet manner, hindi yung nagsasamgyupsal ka habang nagkaklase tayo. Alright, so I hope you understand these certain online class etiquette. Now, for the last online class etiquette, which is number 6, be a responsible student. I know you've heard this 1,000 times already from your teachers, your parents, but it doesn't hurt to reiterate the things that are very much important. So be ready to take notes, whether you have your physical notebook, whether you do online notes. It's vital then. I still suggest that you go with the note taking as part of your responsibility as a student. Second, participate fully and be focused in our classes. Third, do not dominate the discussion. So, in relation with number 4, show respect with other people's time and try to listen as well. But, I also encourage you to voice out your ideas. But there's what we call as proper timing for everything, especially when we express ourselves. In addition, do ask questions and clarifications. Do not be shy. If you think that the question is more of like a stupid question, or you're shy if you will ask that question, please do not hesitate to do so. I would encourage you to ask logical questions, or if questions that you feel, or for example, there are certain things in our discussion, in the assessment, that you are a bit confused, okay? So you are very much encouraged to ask questions. And then, lastly, keep up with the readings and other input material. So the flow of our classes, usually you will be given time to read material first, or you will be given input materials. They can be readings, videos, or certain pre-activities. After that, we will be discussing what you have learned, what you have read, what did you get from the input materials in our classes for specific modules. Okay, so make sure you still catch up with your reading materials and other input materials. So these are all of the discussions about communication and relationship, which is the first agenda for this discussion. Now, let's go with the second agenda, which are the submissions. So, in relation with submissions, allow me to discuss how you should label your submissions. I'm very particular when it comes to the format of your submission. So here is not a suggested, but it's a mandated format on how you should label your submissions in Canvas. So first, you will have here your last name, then your first name, and then underscore your section number, and then underscore assessment number. So here are the examples. So for example, your last name is Reyes, and then your first name is Nicanor, and then underscore, you type in here the section number and then the assessment number. It can be formative assessment or summative assessment. It's vital that you label your submissions so that your submissions will not be lost. Even if it's in Canvas, it doesn't hurt to double check, because sometimes certain students submit the wrong assessment. For example, instead of submitting FA2, they submitted FA1 again. Okay, so it's vital that you're organized with your soft copy materials and with your submissions. That's why labeling is important. We are still with submissions. Up next, let us discuss submissions and deadlines. So this is the bloody part during the semester actually. So I would want to be clear as much as possible when we talk about deadlines. So deadlines in Canvas will mostly will mostly be 10 p.m. Okay? Why not 12 midnight, ma'am? Kasi po, the rest of the teachers do that. But, okay, there's no mandate in the university that it should be 12 midnight. It's just an automatic setup in Canvas that the deadlines are given 11:59, but it's not black and white rule in the university. Hence, in our class, I opted to have 10 p.m., which is more of a humane time or human time. No, it's vital that we give ourselves time to rest, and let's not push ourselves to the edge of 11:59. Okay? So, take note of the following. Submissions beyond the deadline, which is 10 p.m., will be accepted as late submissions. Late submissions will only be accepted until 4 days after the deadline. So, you only have 4 days to submit your late submissions. And then, beyond the 4-day late period, your submission will no longer be accepted. All submissions will be through Canvas, except if directed by the teacher to submit via email or through MS Teams. It depends on the communication settlement that we have. But on a general sense, everything will be in Canvas. So what are the reasons when you will be allowed to submit via email? If, for example, you have reasons that are beyond your control, such as a matter of health and death, but we do not want those things to happen. Let's now go with certain technicalities when you miss the deadline. For example, you are submitting a late submission. What will be the deduction points? So here are the deduction points given for late submission. So days overdue, you will see here on the first column to your left. So if you are late 0 to 1 day, for example, you submitted 10:30, that's 0 day, right? But it's 30 minutes. So 0 to 1 day, that's 20% deduction. So in the example, for example, the assessment is a total of 50 points. After checking your assessment in Canvas, you will be, for example, you got 40 points. Now, 20% of 50 is 10. So, 40 minus 10 is 30. So, that's math. And then, days overdue, 2 days, that would be 40%. 40% of 50, that's 20 minus 20, that would be 20 points. 3 days, that's 60%. So, 50 minus 60% of 50, that's 30. So, 40 minus 30, that's 10 points. And if you are late for 4 days, that would be 80%. So, 50 points, the 80% is 40. So, if you got 40, your score is 40 after checking, and then you submitted 4 days, 40 minus 40, that's good as 0 as well. So, I would just like to be clear as early as now when it comes to deduction points. The university mandates that late submission should not be accepted. However, we are still given the last say as teachers. We are still given the prerogative on how we will handle our class. And I intend to consider late submissions. However, there should be penalty given. Also, please take note that the submissions in Canvas will only be open up to 4 days. Beyond that, it will be automatically closed. Alright, so that's for submissions and deadlines. Let's now move on with academic integrity. We are still under submissions. So this time, let's talk about the other bloody part, which is plagiarism and following the citation. Well, actually, citation is not really that bloody. It's just too technical. That's why sometimes some students do not practice it. Alright, so when it comes to plagiarism and citation, I would definitely recommend this website. When you Google, you type Purdue OWL, OWL. So OWL stands for Online Writing Laboratory. You do not need to memorize everything in citation. You just have to know how to apply the directions forwarded in this website. Okay? And if there are certain cases that you really can't help it, but I hope you will not do it. You will copy paste, you will plagiarize. Okay, so hopefully you won't be doing it. And we have a checker in our system in Canvas for us to further intensify and apply academic integrity in our lives. We will utilize Turnitin in Canvas submissions, and please be guided with the similarity index scores. If you submit your submission in Canvas, you will see here Turnitin similarity index guide. So if you got a green, that's 1 to 24%, similarity index from the database that we have in Canvas of Turnitin, it's an acceptable similarity index. And then yellow, if it's 25 to 49%, that's still acceptable but subject for review. So we will double check where did you go wrong or what happened. Sometimes Canvas detects the directions or the questions as a similarity index as well. So we have to double check. And then same goes with orange, 50 to 74%. That's unacceptable, but we will still review it. Do not worry. And then if you got red, that's quite alarming because it's 76 to 100%. So that's unacceptable, but okay, we will be reviewing and we will double check where is the similarity coming from. But if it's obvious that you deliberately copy pasted, I'm sorry, but we have to deal with certain consequences of your action. So first warning, you will automatically be given a grade of 0 for that assessment if we got a high similarity index, orange and red, and if it is proven that you deliberately copy pasted plagiarized work and turn it as your own work, okay, you'll get a 0, and then intervention dialogue with the teacher. And then if you are stubborn and you did it again, the second time will be a serious concern. So what will happen there? Automatically given a grade of 0 for that assessment and a possible failing mark for the entire course depending on the gravity of the case. Okay? So I will still look and double check. It's not an automatic if I see a red, okay, this student plagiarized. I will still double check everything. I will talk to you. I will hear your side. Okay, but make sure that you will prove your innocence. And then there will be intervention dialogue with me. That's what I was talking about. And then the case will be reported in Academics Affairs and Guidance Office for further discussion with you, your parent. Now, last point when it comes to submission. Canvas submissions, especially the formative assessments, are given up to 2 attempts before the deadline. We will be having consultation periods and time for you to work on your assessment. And if you feel that the first submission that you have forwarded can still be improved right before the deadline or before the deadline, you can still resubmit. Okay, you have 2 allowed attempts for formative assessment. However, for summative assessments, you're only given 1 attempt on or before the deadline. So make sure that you proofread, you finalize your summative assessments before submitting and turning your submissions in Canvas. Alright, so now let's move on with the third agenda, which are grades and consultation. So I hope you are still with me. Now, when it comes to grades and consultation, I would like to be clear as early as now that when we talk about grades and extra credits, especially towards the end of the semester, I always get messages from students asking for extra activities so that they can, do clutch work with their grade. But to set it straight, no fudge points, no extra activities will be given. We have an exact number of assessments given in the class, whether they will be formative or summative. So you have to work and give your best with the formative and summative assessments given. And no additional work or no extra credit will be given. Next, consultation means. So regarding consultation of grades, please utilize consultation period in our class. And then it would be helpful if you set an appointment ahead of time so that we can prepare. So you can message me in MS Teams, let me know what is your specific concern, with what do you wish to consult specifically, and then let's meet halfway and see how we can work with our schedule so as to set an appointment for our grades. And then please be clear with your concern. Identify what assessment, what part of your grade you are confused, which specific concern that you want to ask from me as your teacher. And of course, I would suggest that you assert yourself the right way. Ask the right questions. So there's a difference when you say being assertive from being aggressive. So you have to ask nicely. And if you think there's a concern with your grade, you're very much welcome to ask it nicely. Let's now move forward with the last agenda of our discussion. Let's discuss other helpful materials. I know it will be a tough semester, and to help and guide you with this semester, we have a folder in Canvas which we have help and guide. It includes APA guide, summary of tasks and deadlines, reminders about discussion, about labeling your submission, reminders about the deadlines, the number of assessments and the deadlines that we will have, reminders about online class etiquette. Even my online calling card will be in the reminders folder. And then we also have this certain folder in Canvas which is entitled Are You Tired? So this folder will contain certain materials that will help boost your push and your motivation for studying. I know it's not really easy to study online. Studying face to face is hard. What more if it's online? So as a student as well before, okay, as a student, I also have my personal means of motivating myself, and I would like to extend those motivation on your end as well, okay? So these are certain help and guide that will help you course through the journey this semester. And lastly, as a reminder, this is just a personal thing that I have in my class, okay? Regarding my last name, it's Del Campo, okay? It's not Del Ocampo. And there will be a deduction point. I would like to be clear as early as now. There will be deduction point if you got my last name wrong. I'm your teacher, come on. So formative assessment, you'll be deducted 2 points. For SA, you'll be deducted 5 points if you don't spell my last name correctly. Alright, so this ends our discussion. So we have covered 4 agenda: communication and relationship in the class, submissions in our class, grades and consultation, and other helpful material. So if you have other things that you have in your mind that are not covered in our discussion, please let me know. And if you have further clarifications, please feel free to forward it in MS Teams. All right, thank you and have a great day.